You're listening to a Monster Kid podcast.
Wait, what was... I don't know. I missed what you were saying. Hey.
What's up, guys? It's Random Movie Roulette. We did
Episode
it.
95.
95.
We have a horrible echo. Hold on 1 second. All right, guys, welcome to episode 95. We're back to host picks, and fucking, I don't know why you keep doing this.
I'll get... If you really want to know why I did it, let's at least talk about what we're watching first,
Yes.
and then I'll explain.
Goldfinger.
Jack, it was your turn.
Yes, it was my turn.
Wait,
So, what
wait,
the
we
fuck?
didn't introduce ourselves yet.
All right.
Welcome to Random Movie Roulette. I'm Patterson, Jack Patterson.
And I know that deep down in my heart, I still love you.
We've come up with a new bit here at Random Movie Roulette, and it's those waiting screens are going to be filtered in with occasional just random horrible audio that you have to listen to.
Yeah, because fuck you.
I was planning. I was like, oh, this will be a great thing for my intro when we do the intros. I'll just.
Cody says, "Nice shirt, Mike."
Well, thank you. It is October 1st, the first day of Spooky Ween, and so.
And thank God we're covering James Bond today.
To end everything else. Listen, okay. Do we even need to introduce ourselves anymore? Are we done with that?
I think we're past
Are we
it.
good?
I think I still want to do it in case we have
Oh
any
my
funny
God.
dumb jokes that we
All
want to
right,
say.
everyone,
during
on
our
a count
introduction.
of 3, yell your name. 1, 2, 3.
She didn't say anything. All right, let's just.
Yeah, that's Lewis. The guy with the glasses who looks like Velma with the
me.
chin
The
beard.
man with the golden
That's
glasses.
Lewis.
That was one of the only insults I've ever taken offense to. That one really stuck.
That hurt. Like you really.
Oh,
Like
you really went for me with that one. That was spot on. Oh my God. All right. Shot
Anyway.
through the heart and you're to blame. You give love a bad name.
Anyway.
But not James Bond, because this series is fucking awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know what? Okay, so here's why I picked this one.
Please.
Well, let's watch the trailer first.
Are we going to watch the trailer? Okay, we'll watch
All
the
right.
trailer first.
We watched Goldfinger.
Gold.
Finger.
Goldfinger, I made a delivery. Where is my money?
And you owe me $1 million. You
By the way, this is a fan trailer by
or 10 millions
Chigawa.
tomorrow.
Oh, so this isn't even a real trailer.
Depository at Fort Knox, gentlemen. In its vaults are $15 billion. The entire gold supply of the United States.
I thought I'd find you in good hands.
What do you know about gold? Not plain bullion. Or a gold.
He's British, but he doesn't sound like it.
As yet, we have failed to discover how he transfers his gold overseas.
I think it's time Mr. Goldfinger and I...
Noted transphobe John Cleese.
Yes.
This is Mr. Goldfinger.
And if
Noted
they
everything.
tried to involve themselves in my affairs, unsuccessfully.
He was supposed to observe Mr. Goldfinger.
After all he learned in Shrek 2, you thought he would have learned to be more accepting of other
No,
people.
Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
This isn't a personal vendetta, 007. It's an assignment like any other.
For you.
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
You plan to break into the world's largest bank, but not to steal anything.
You know, he kills little girls like you.
Little boys, too.
Don't go back to your hotel, senor. They'll be watching you.
Who are you?
Bond.
I'm beginning to like you, Mr. Bond. You can turn off the charm. I'm immune.
You'll be using this Aston Martin DB5.
Shocking. Positively shocking.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last.
Now, pay attention, please.
You like close shaves, don't you?
So we should all 3 explosions from the movie in the trailer.
There's more explosions than that, I think. But those are the big ones.
Well, I mean, I shouldn't be judging them. This isn't a real trailer that
Judging
they
the
made for the
explosions,
movie.
yeah.
But I will say that I was kind of disappointed it wasn't one of the 60 trailers. I was really looking forward to hearing, like, it's James Bond and his latest adventure. He's going after Goldfinger. His finger's made of gold.
It's literally
Goldfinger,
that,
007.
but for 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to see that.
Well, maybe next
I
time.
figured that'd be merciful.
We
Okay.
should
There should
point
not be
out
next time.
this poster is also fan-made. We went with fan-made stuff this time around. We love people who create things. This was created by an artist named Paul Mann. He did a wonderful job. We did not ask for permission, so if you're bothered by this, sorry. If you want, I will go in and I will edit this out. But thank you for creating cool shit. Check out Paul Mann wherever Paul Mann posts his Paul Mann things.
Yep.
All right.
But, okay, so why did I pick this and just
I gotta say, you
subject
really
you to James
Goldfingered
Bond
me
again?
with this one.
So, my logic was just kind of this. No Time to Die is coming out soon. At the rate
checks
James
out.
Bond movies come out, God knows if we'll be doing this podcast by the time the next one comes out. I'd be damned if at least we talked about James Bond and never talked about the one James Bond movie that is my favorite and got me into James Bond and then into movies in general.
Okay.
Because
Fair
this
enough.
was basically...
So I have another question.
Yeah.
On why you pick why. So this seems like okay. So I'll get right out in front of this. I think this is one of the best James Bond movies I've seen. Why not start with it when you're trying to show me James Bond movies? Why was this not the first one you went to?
So the only two that I've actually gone out of my way to show you are The Spy Who Loved Me and this. The Spy Who Loved Me's influence is in a lot of things that you like. It's in Venture Brothers. It's in
Wait,
DC
was Spy
Comics.
Who Loved Me the last one we watched?
Well, we watched Skyfall. And
Well,
then
no,
Spy
no,
Who
no, I
Loved
mean
Me
the
was
last
the
old
one
one.
that I had you watch as a host pick.
Okay.
With Jaws and the underwater lair and everything. It's the closest to like comics and weird sci-fi kind of
It's
stuff.
the
without
closest
being
to
too
Austin
much.
Powers.
Yeah.
But like still at least having some dignity, which was why I thought, okay, maybe this will be the one to get you.
The tropes are all there in a big
Right.
way, but you can tell like they're still taking themselves seriously as they're doing them, which somehow kind of helps this one a bit.
I mean,
there's an
Goldfinger
earnestness to
created
it that
all
I
the tropes.
appreciate.
That's kind of the best part, and also I think each of the characters in their trope roles has the most depth. I think Goldfinger is actually a character that has kind of a personality to him
Yeah.
and that you do connect to and kind of learn to love to hate, versus like any other Bond villain who can just sound menacing and European and just be like, goodbye, Mr. Bond.
Goodbye.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I will say about this movie is that, like, that the persona of James Bond is, like, you know, this suave, debonair, like, guy. It's, like, a lot of the times, like, the Roger Moore ones, I'm like, this guy is a goof. Like, I don't get that.
Roger Moore is a goof.
And I was
Yeah.
wondering, I was like, I never really got that from, like, old James Bond, but I think seeing Sean Connery in this role, which is the first Connery
get
movie
it.
that I've seen,
Yeah.
and also, I think that because still has, like, that kind of, like, 1960s Hollywood era, like, suave, like, you know, like, that type of, like, class to it, that it makes it feel a little bit more like this is just, like, you know, it's an actual, like, it feels like a movie that would be made around this time, whereas, like, I think that my thing with Spy Who Loved Me is, like, it was just, like, too campy and too ridiculous that I didn't really feel like there was any sense of, like, you know, like, I guess, like, class or suaveness to it, but, like, I think with this one, I think it hit that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, my expectations for this were super low. I was really expecting to just hate this whole experience. It was better paced than I was expecting. Better paced than any of the Bond movies I feel like I have seen before this. This is about an hour 50, which I was really worried about. I was like, this is going to be like Skyfall. It's going to feel like it's got like this whole extra act. But no, it flows really, really well. It's pretty well structured. And I mean, aside from like the few like logical weird things that they need to happen for it to become a Bond movie, I felt like it was like pretty grounded, and like the villain's plan was like really elaborate, but it was possible. It made sense in our world, which not a lot of the James Bond things do. So I really appreciated it for that. I was that plan itself. I was like, oh, like that's a really cool motivation for a villain, like that he just has a stockpile of gold and he wants to irradiate all of the United States gold, so the value of his gold goes up, like
because he's literally in love with gold.
Yeah, which is fucking cool. I don't know. I really dug it.
And also, like, taken to a more ridiculous parody with Goldmember in Austin Powers, Goldmember,
Yeah.
which, yeah, I want to talk about. Yeah, that's a movie that doesn't really hold up at all. Like, and I think we were making jokes that, like, we would just pretend that we watched Goldmember instead.
Yeah.
But even so, I was just like, oh, I feel like I'd rather talk about this as a serious movie. 'Cause
I'm genuinely glad that this is the last James Bond movie I'll ever watch.
Yeah. No, I would have felt at least bad had I not shown you guys this one being my view of the peak of the series, essentially.
I appreciate. I feel like we're on better terms now.
Yeah.
It's just friends.
Yeah.
After what happened with The Spy Who Loved Me, which was. It wasn't like painful, but it was also like a lot of like fucking really.
Yeah.
But some of my favorite James Bond tropes are still in this. The best of all is James Bond using women almost exclusively as human shields. He just like has no problem. Like, take the girl, leave me alone.
the way in which
Fuck
he
you.
manhandles women in this movie.
Oh my god, he's a
particularly.
monster. He's an absolute monster. He's a predator.
It's welcome to Don Draper, early 60s James Bond. Here, woman, I'll show you.
And
what
it's not like we're
your
saying
role
that, like,
is.
I like seeing these things
No.
in movies.
No.
Let's slap those women in the
It's
face
just-
and call them toots. But
it's
like,
so over the top. It's almost like an exploitation movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a case for us to cover the show on Gory Picture Show. Because,
Yeah.
This movie, because it's so over the top that like, even though like you could tell this one was meant in earnest, now it is so hard.
I
to
think
take
it was
super
still kind of
seriously.
like jokey, haha. Like, I think the
I don't
part
know,
where he like
62, and there's no shame in it. That's the time of it. Like,
Yeah.
but
it still gets a little when he's our main character and he's like pinning a woman down and she's like pushing away. It's like,
oh, and let's talk about this woman. Pussy galore.
how were they? I know that this is probably like
yeah.
you know a revolutionary thing for the time, but I'm like, how did they get away with just saying this in a PG?
because a
movie?
man wrote it.
Yeah,
Was this rated PG?
I can
It
imagine there was
definitely
no.
not rated R. So
Yeah,
this was PG.
there was no PG-13
This was
in this
probably
time.
before they even had ratings. Let's be real. This was
I
before
think you're right
the,
about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
but
my god.
To think about
though.
that, you couldn't even show ankles on screen for
Yeah.
like 50
I'll
years
be
of filmmaking.
entirely
and then-
clear though. The first time I saw this movie, I was also 12. I did not know that pussy was another name for vagina, so I was just like, oh, that's a weird joke or a weird name.
Well, that's
whatever.
very cute, Jack. But
Yeah.
we all live in the adult world. When
Yeah.
we
Right,
watch
that's
this.
fine. I'm just saying for when kids saw this, because there were like toys and stuff
Yeah.
to tie in with it.
But
You know,
it did.
I
It
mean,
led to a bunch of people in a James Bond movie very deadpan saying the word pussy, and sometimes excitedly saying the word pussy. And that was very enjoyable for me to watch. And
You're a woman
fucking
of many
Sean
parts,
Connery
pussy.
leans into that you so hard. It's disgusting. It is absolutely nauseating. He goes, pussy. Like, every single time. It's horrible. It feels like he's like doing it right into my ear every time I hear it. I hate it
I mean,
so
if
much.
you got to say it in a movie, wouldn't you be happy you get to say
Oh
it
yeah,
so
I would.
many times?
I would relish it exactly
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a stupid name, and following that, we get Bond girls like Dr. Goodhead and Octopussy and Xenia
that
on
was
a
so
top.
good they had to name the whole movie after it.
Yeah.
God. Okay. There's so many more things. Okay. The human shields, and by that I mean the women in this movie.
Only one is actually used as a human shield.
Yeah, but like
And
the
it's
fact
not
that
like
the last...
she didn't kind of ask for it.
she
Oh, she asked
Oh,
for it.
she
That's
was
a good
asking
excuse.
for it.
Because she
Jack.
was helping that guy kill him.
Did he know that while he
What
was
if-
macking
Yes,
on her?
her eyes were literally
We
open,
don't-
watching this guy sneak up on
we
him.
don't
What's she
know
gonna do?
who she is. She could have just been like held at gunpoint. He was like, "You're gonna seduce him, and then I'm gonna hit him, and then I'll not kill you." How dare you, you bigot! All right,
She was gonna let him die. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're totally correct.
I'm
But
not
to save
saying
her
it's
own
not
life-
hilarious and still like, yeah, look at what he just did
Yeah.
with. Well, it's not hilarious, but it's also
It's hilarious that
it's
the
hilarious
exact same
noting the
thing
dated sexism of it.
happened in
And-
both the old
Yeah.
James Bond movies I watched for this show. Like the exact same like move.
That's
of
a-
just like
I mean, honestly, it's a strong ratio. Like, I'm pretty sure that you would be batting 1,000 if you kept watching the originals, but...
I promise you those are actually the only two that do it, but it is such a...
What a shock that the two that do it are your favorite ones.
Spy Who Loved Me is not my favorite one. Goldfinger is. And Goldfinger, it's kind of neat because you also see the guy sneaking up in the eye, and that shot's cool. With The Spy Who Loved Me, it actually makes no freaking sense. Like, you can't tell whether she throws herself in front of the gun or he turns her or whatever, so it's a weird moment in that movie.
It's definitely like you could see
Goldfinger.
like you could see like the quality of like using filmmaking techniques and stuff in interesting ways, like with that eye shot where it's like, I don't want to say Hitchcockian, but like
it's close.
I mean, think about North by Northwest, where it's like that was like proto James Bond.
Yeah,
and probably. Yeah. I think that's like, if ever there was like an old movie of the James Bond series that is like even comparable to North by Northwest, which I know that for you, I mean, I know that that's a very special movie to you, so it's not like there's, I don't think you have any ones that rival, but
there are two, because I mean, from Russia with Love, they, instead of the biplane, they have a helicopter that chases him. You know, they definitely drew from North by Northwest. I mean, Hitchcock was supposed to direct the first James Bond movie, and then there were legal troubles, and then he didn't. But, you know, I mean, Goldfinger's tops, man.
I dug it, and I would agree. Like the fight choreography in this compared to The Spy Who Loved Me is night
much
and day.
better.
It's crazy because like that was ridiculous.
Yeah. And Roger Moore's like not believable as a badass. He's
not at all. Yeah, but like Sean Connery, I'm like, I will take my clothes off for you right now.
Yeah,
like anytime you want. Like, and like I would like I like. Say like I feel bad for this woman, I would totally be like that, like, you know, like he just like pats on the butt and sends away and be like, men are talking. I would totally be that for him. Like if he did that, I'd be like, that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, see, it's not even
this is his world.
It's
I'm
not
just living in it.
It's not even the using of the human shields, but it's also like just the way that like the smacking on the ass, and then the one when like he just like pushes her face like while they're in bed.
Yeah.
Like,
he treats women like cattle that he fucks. Like he doesn't care.
I don't know. I could give defenses of a lot of these just for like things that are in the moment that are obviously supposed to be cutesy or whatever, but like the optics of it is obviously
it's meant to be like playful banter for 60s standards, but nowadays it looks a little bit sus.
Everyone in the 60s just sounded vaguely sexist, no matter what they were saying. So it was bound to happen.
So I want to ask. So the movie starts with the gun barrel thing. So when did James Bond decide? When did they decide to ditch the hat? When did they decide the hat looked stupid?
I feel like the hat stops around the 8th movie, around Live and Let Die. I think around Roger Moore. I think Sean Connery.
You read the book,
always
right?
had the hat. Yes, I've read the book.
Is the hat a thing in the book? Oh, hey, Jordan's in the chat. Mark's in the chat. Cody's in the chat. What up,
Oh,
guys?
you mean, so he's talking about how James Bond in the gun barrel is wearing a fedora. Are you asking about Oddjob?
No. I'm asking about James Gunn. James Gunn.
James
Bond in the gun barrel scene. Like,
there's no gun barrel scene in the book.
No, idiot. I'm asking if, like, in the books...
does he wear a hat?
I don't know if he wears a hat or not. They never describe him as wearing a hat. You care this much about whether he wears a hat?
I asked one question that you could not get to or understand. I don't care that much
wears
about
a hat
the hat
occasionally. That's like asking,
okay, all right.
does he wear a belt or suspenders?
I am sincerely sorry I asked, okay? Are you happy?
But it's like, of all the details you could ask about the book, it's like, but does he wear a hat in the book?
Well, I was
Oddjob?
just
No, James
curious.
Bond. Does James Bond ever put on a hat?
Question to ask.
I was just asking as a joke. I didn't really mean for it
No,
to...
I know. Lewis took it to a whole other level.
I'm gonna fucking stab everyone in Studio Seaman
I'm
right
sure
now.
he wears a hat once in a while when he's outside. It's the 50s.
All right.
You know what else is
You
funny?
heard it here first, folks.
James Bond wears a hat once in a while.
Did he even wear a hat in the
Welcome
movie?
to Random Movie Roulette. We have breaking news.
No, he doesn't wear a hat in frickin'... I think maybe he puts a hat on the hat rack in, like... when he's in London, but he
why
never
is
wears...
he just wearing
You know what? He
the
does
hat?
wear a hat.
Stop asking that.
He does wear... No, wait.
right.
He does wear a hat when he plays golf with Goldfinger. He's wearing
That's not a fedora. That's a golf hat. That's one of those little golf berets or whatever they
No,
wear.
Goldfinger's wearing a golf beret. Sean Connery's wearing a fedora.
Okay, yeah. I'll just give it.
I've seen this movie around 40 times.
I'll give up the hat joke now. It's dead and
Yeah,
buried.
okay.
Moving forward, this will not become a
All right, so
recurring
you
bit on
asked
Random
about
Movie
that.
Roulette.
We start with the gun barrel. He doesn't wear a hat.
But anyway, then we get into the Shirley Bassey Goldfinger song, and I wanted to say that I said this off mic, and I said I would say it again because I think that this is a funny observation. Because like the Billie Eilish "No Time to Die" music video came out today, which we always end up doing a Bond episode whenever there's like some new thing for No Time to Die.
Just randomly timed. Yeah. I think Eon's just looking to me to have the release of this movie. I think they're just releasing it in November for me, guys.
Yeah, because
is that who's doing it?
Neon?
Eon.
Eon.
Oh, Eon is like the production company that like has always owned and made only the Bond movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
I
thought you said
it's
Neon.
not
I
Neon.
was like, that's crazy.
No, it's not Neon.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, because that came out today, and we're noticing like how like the James Bond songs of like now can kind of like double, like they can be ambiguous, or they don't even need to be specifically tied to a James Bond movie. You could just hear it as a song on its own. And how in this movie, like the early movies, the song is literally she is singing about the villain of this movie, and that's literally all that you can use as the interpretation.
She just keeps saying, "He likes gold.
He's the man." That's
his heart's made of
He's
gold.
the man.
No, I mean, it's a repetitive song. It's not, like lyrical genius or whatever, but it is a real, humdinger earworm. And the other thing is, this was the first vocal Bond theme that they ever did. So, because this was only the third movie. This was the first time.
The first two, they did not have.
It was instrumental.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They didn't have like a big music video thing?
They had like the title sequence, but it was like with Hitchcock movies when they do title sequences where it's
Can I say this is another improvement upon the other Bond movies that I've seen? The cold open was perfect length.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It wasn't the first fucking act of the movie.
This movie is just perfect length, and the fact is really the Craig ones are just gratuitously long. They're like near 3 hours, and it's like it's not. It shouldn't be like this.
I really hope the next one, like they roll it.
I really hope we get back to something like this where it's just fun cold open and then
now watch this
quickly paced movie.
I want to do the whole Mad Max Fury Road up until the storm chase, and then at the end of the storm chase, you play the music in the intro.
Just cut to black and then the intro starts. Oh God. Okay. There's more things that we have to adjust here. Goldfinger himself, who makes for a good villain. He's not as over the top as I was expecting him.
No.
Goldfinger's like a very
he
sounds
is
like a
still like
super villain
pretty
name.
Kind of like engrossing and kind of jovial and
I say he's not over the top because literally he is our president.
I'm saying like, he has like a realistic evil like grotesque like he feels like he's like could be a real slime ball and
I recognize that face and that person as just gross and horrible. Like I just
they share a love of gold and golden showers and all.
Okay, can we talk about something else though? So his whole thing with gold is wonderful.
Yeah.
The woman James Bond sleeps with and then she wakes up the next morning dead and covered in gold. They don't do that to anyone else in the whole movie. I thought that was gonna be a thing, but that never comes up again.
They do it to something. They do that in Quantum of Solace.
But it's with oil because they think they want oil or something.
Because it was the late 2000s and every villain's plot was about oil.
Yeah, although it was actually like about water and they only thought.
Oh, it was like
Quantum of Solace is a stupid movie. We don't need to talk about that.
Mark in the chat wants to know if Goldfinger, like Trump, also wants to fuck his daughter. What do we think?
I mean, Goldfinger doesn't have a daughter, but he wants to fuck every woman. The problem is no women want to fuck him
because he's
like we're hitting it like right away. Like it's so eerily similar. The only thing is like he has better plans.
I mean, honestly, Goldfinger wants to fuck his own gold. That's what it. I mean, I genuinely believe like
that would hurt
when Fleming
so bad.
wrote it, like he describes it as like a sexual attraction to gold and like
oh shit.
They only stop short of that in this movie, but like you see him like looking at the gold in Fort Knox when he's about to nuke it, and he's like sad that he has to like ruin this stuff.
I was listening to an episode of We Hate Movies today. And it was doing like a mailbag stuff, and they were talking about this movie. It was called like I Fell in Love with the Eiffel Tower or something like that. It was like a documentary about like people who have like sexual attractions to inanimate objects.
Dude, did you see the thing? There was a TV show I watched once. It was about a woman who was in a monogamous relationship with a carnival attraction. It was like a carnival ride.
Okay,
like
well,
kind of like a Ferris wheel.
how could that
kinda
be?
deal.
People are riding that thing all the live long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on the carousel for remaining loyal.
No, listen, it's really sweet. So she's like in her 50s, and she met the carousel or whatever like when she was really young and like just starting out as a carny, and like then she joined a new traveling carnival, and they got separated, and in her 50s the other carnival went out of business, and they got back together when she bought the carnival ride.
You're very tolerant for treating this.
So long as they don't put on
as...
fursuits, I'm great. You guys can do whatever you want. I will always make fun of furries. I will never feel bad for it. That
you ever
is
get worried
a
that,
Louis
like,
Otero promise.
Do you ever get worried that, like, you know, we're gonna be like in 50 years we're gonna look like the bigots making fun of furries and like the
I honestly like I'll go down with the ship. That's fine. Like I can accept that if that's.
But speaking of
it.
bigots, he even looks like Trump. He sounds like Trump. And if you want to know a little fun facts about Gert Freude, the man who played Goldfinger, was an actual Nazi for a short period of time. So I will tell you the story of how he's actually a good person and whatever.
Ooh, okay.
So he was really young. He joined the Nazi Party in like 27 or something, like very early in its stages, and basically kind of around 1936 or whatever left it. And then throughout the duration of the war, he actually hid a Jewish family in his home and protected them.
So he's
like
Jojo Rabbit.
Right. And then
like Jojo Rabbit.
And then he was only drafted at like the last year of the war and then whatever, but Israel was originally going to ban Goldfinger because of that. And then the family came forward and was like, he saved our lives.
Can I just say classic Israel move? Just classic Israel.
But anyways, so then they were like, oh yeah, sure. You know, we'll release this movie. Did you guys also notice the dubbing at all? That Goldfinger was dubbed for the entire movie?
Not really. I think it's maybe the quality of the stream. I wasn't really picking up on it, but
no, he's.
I did pick up on during the. You go on.
No.
I was gonna say I did pick up on during the pool scene where like James Bond is in like perfect HD focus, and then the green screen behind him of the people walking is like, oh wow, that's 1960s footage. Is that they did not restore to the same quality as the guy, but
no, yeah, but I mean, I just never knew this until like many watches later that Gert Freude was actually dubbed for the whole movie by a British actor. So
can I just point out something
do a very
funny
good job of it? Yeah,
that I just saw happen in the chat.
Tell us.
Mark just commented after my Israel comment. He just commented, "That's our Israel," and it got held up by the auto mod. And I just like watched like Cody go and permit it, and it just made me laugh because he had to specifically permit the term "That's our Israel," which like that's gonna come up.
What
in
was the
stream
offensive word? Was it that's? Was it our?
I
or
literally
was
think it's Israel.
It's Israel.
God damn it! I fucking love having this show live, just for
Isn't
shit
it
like
great?
that. Pretty fucking wonderful. Yeah. Okay, I have another gripe with this movie though.
Yes.
Why is Q Branch fucking allergic to labeling shit? Because this drove me nuts the whole movie. Okay, so Q goes and he's like, "Here's your new car. It's an Aston Martin. It's gorgeous." And yeah, also like the kind of car like that I'd have sex with. Put it right in the tailpipe. I don't care.
Park that Big Mac truck right in this little garage.
No.
But anyway.
Thank you, Megan.
Jesus fucking Christ.
It was Cardi B who said that line.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Okay. I completely lost my train. Oh yeah, so Q shows Bond the car. And he's like showing him all like the weapons and shit, and he opens up the armrest that has all the weapon controls, and it's a bunch of unmarked switches, and he goes through them and he tells them, he's like, this is smoke, and this is oil slick, and this one will fucking shoot you in the face. And like he points to them as he's saying them, but there's no labels at all. And then he just says it the one time, and then James Bond just remembers.
Well, you
to
really
be fair,
expect...
It's only 4 things,
yeah,
also.
Do you really expect a fucking spy agency to put fucking big labels
Machine
like,
gun.
I'm sorry, do you not think something's up already when you see a bunch of switches and a fucking radar with the map on it? Like, is this a spy car?
Do you know how many switches I see in cars with labels that I still don't understand?
It was 1964. Cars still were wound up before they ran.
But you had to pull them back and then let them go.
had to change the double A's every couple of months. You needed one of those big giant batteries. Like, what were those called? Like the giant cylindrical ones. Like,
And if you had a
the D
Matchbox
batteries?
instead of a Hot Wheels, God help you.
anyway, but I do like this Aston Martin scene, like this like video game tutorial where it goes through and he like has to point to each individual thing. I could feel myself sitting there. I'm like, okay, I don't need to sit here and
No.
have him tell me what every button does.
Hugh is a useless character. We do not need him.
He made the car that makes
No. But like all he has to do really is just show me like, here are the keys to the car. Like you'll figure it out.
When
There's instructions in the glove compartment. Fucking read them. They have to make a manual. They can't just not make a manual for this
Well,
nonsense.
that's
yes,
the
the spy
manual
car
for
manual.
you.
How do they know what does what? If there's no manual and there's no labeling, they have to memorize everything?
We can't complain that there's no labels on things and yet then complain that there's a scene where the character literally shows you this is what everything does in the movie.
If they labeled it, you wouldn't have to show them in the
wait,
first place.
listen. Okay, so you want them to cut to a shot of the button with the label.
Oh,
of him
I'm sorry.
pushing it?
You wouldn't get what happened when he flipped open the thing and presses a button because he read the fucking label.
But wait, okay,
We'd still
listen.
see the stuff happen.
We don't need a. I don't need a.
And Cody makes a great point. Batman labels everything.
well,
Everything.
Too much.
I don't need there to
names
be,
them, in
I don't
fact.
need there to be a fucking scene where it's like I can tell that James Bond pushed a button and then machine guns came out of the car. I don't need to see a label that denies that it is that.
We don't need to see a label. He would need to see a label, and that's the problem.
He's a spy who memorizes fucking like all the fucking codes and
I'm
names
sorry.
and shit.
When does his
but
memory come up in this movie? How often does his memory help him out?
Because he remembers where to put the button. Which button does what?
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
He remembers to put the thing in his
This,
shoe.
I'm saying
what
this
is
is
the-
not. This is not a James Bond trait. This isn't a
Lewis-
thing he does.
Lewis,
Super
what-
memory.
Lewis, what does that button right here on this switchboard do? Tell me exactly what it does.
I don't
But you know what it does because you work it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I don't know what that switchboard is. But what that button on the switchboard is. But if I go over to it, oh, I can see it's the effects button because it's fucking labeled as the effects button. Do you see how that
What about
works?
the buttons on your phone?
And when I got this, you know what didn't happen? No one showed up to my house and was like, "This knob is volume on the first microphone."
Lewis-
Hold on, this knob is the volume on the second microphone. This one is the volume on the third microphone. This one, okay? He didn't go knob for knob with me. I didn't need it because it was labeled.
Because they can't kill someone.
They are wasting time at MI6. It's like they don't even care. Oh,
Do you have another point?
No.
Are you complaining about how like when James Bond he ate a tuna sandwich for lunch and we didn't see him take a shit?
They
where it's
have
like,
a pen,
how
but
did
they
we
don't live.
when did he have time to take a shit? Like,
That
that tuna had to have been
day.
digested at some point. Like,
What, they all watch him take a shit and we just didn't see that happen?
His wallet needs to be labeled wallet. His pen needs to be labeled
James Bond-
grenade.
you think
Fuck
he's-
you. Yes, it should be. Okay, if you hand someone a pen that's a grenade, there should be something on it indicating that.
Yeah, but listen, if you're
Just responsibility.
And then if a bad guy sees a pen and says, "Why does this say grenade?"
it doesn't need to
it's
say
not
grenade.
Doing
Maybe
its
maybe
job.
the button is a grenade on the top. Be like, oh, it's a
if you
grenade
give someone
pen.
a
Novelty.
button, if you give someone a pen that's a poison dart and then they die from it, or then they don't
Yeah,
die,
exactly.
you put
All
the
right.
hooker in your trunk.
Okay,
The-
we will be
We'll
talking
get
about
to that.
Archer during our patron exclusive segment later on tonight. Guys got me real heated up about this label thing.
All right. Anyway,
All this labeling nonsense.
what other stuff happened in this movie that
Odd job.
Yeah, so this is a cool villain, especially because it's like I can imagine that I can imagine roles for Asian men were not
not
Yeah.
crazy at this point.
and it's not like I don't think there's anything culturally offensive about anything that is
Odd
character
job does
portrayed.
no.
No, he just throws a hat. He looks cool.
Yeah.
He's the worst character in the GoldenEye game, but hey,
He's the worst character because he's the best to play with. Because that hat just does you in.
Oh boy, does it.
and because he's smaller than everybody else, so
Yeah,
you
he's
have to
hard to
line it
shoot.
up harder. And that's a game that does not age
Age well, no, because you can't control the camera at all, which is nuts.
in a
they were just like
first-person shooter.
I mean, Doom got away with it. It was easier in Doom when
Because
they
Doom was
had
linear. It was like on a single plane. You just walk through a place. But this, it's like...
Well, no, it's the same thing. You're walking down corridors. You're turning around and shit. You're not walking down a hallway in Doom, like going left from right. Have you ever played the original Doom?
I mean,
I have.
Played it on like a calculator, but not like,
on a calculator, really?
Well, it's one of those things where like, oh yeah, Doom can run on like a calculator.
I saw someone do it on a keyboard, like, and I mean that by like they had a keyboard with a tiny LED screen that they were able to run Doom on, which was pretty dope.
I was playing Doom 2016 earlier today. Man, that's a game. That is a fucking game. That is. I don't know why
Listen,
this is now just become every white boy podcast. Like, hey, dude, did you see this thing? It's like,
all right, guys. I think we're getting near the end of Goldfinger. Are there any other talk points you wanna?
Like I said, I do like that this movie actually shows off Bond's like his intellect and like his deduction and reasoning, like his detective skills, like where it's like. And also his ways of like, you know, getting out of situations without like resorting to
like outwitting Goldfinger in the laser scene when he doesn't have a gadget to do it.
Because I was fully expecting that scene. Yeah, I was just fully expecting that scene to end with like him like chained up to the laser and he'd be like he'd flip the table over or something like that. But it's like no, he has to like reason with the villain to like get him out of there.
Yeah.
And then like when the way he escapes from like that prison cell, where it's like that was like a pretty creative setup where it's like he like tricked the guard to come inside and he was like hiding on the ceiling like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then
it reminded me of the first time you see Batman in Batman v Superman, where when the cop goes up the stairs when they find like the human trafficking ring, so they go up the stairs and you can see Batman is like up in the corner.
He's like doing some weird crouch.
Yeah, he looks so dope and he's out of focus and shit. He looks so cool. It was such a good.
Bay caught me off guard.
Guys, we should just spend the rest of the podcast. Let's talk about Batman v Superman.
I mean, Batman and James Bond, they got
we open at the end of Man of Steel, but from Bruce Wayne's perspective, he touches. Okay.
Yeah. No. Shut up. But I will give a shout out to the Martha of this movie, the most unsung character in all of James Bond fandom. The old lady with the machine gun at Goldfinger's factory.
That was
Machine Gun Hilda, my favorite villain.
You were like, this is my favorite character in the Bond series, and I was like, how could that be? And then she pulls out a Tommy gun and fires at James Bond, empties the clip.
Fucking machine gun.
It was crazy.
It's so good.
So
good. You
good.
do not expect it. It's great.
No, but you just want more. At the end of
more.
the day, you just want more.
Oh, how did the golf scene work for you guys?
Not so good.
Not so great.
Here's the thing. I never expected that I would ever see James Bond golfing. Like, it just seems like something that, like...
I was telling him, like, I compare it to, like, the Pierce Brosnan movies where, like, it's all, like, extreme sports and, like, 90s shit. And then, like, we're here, like, just, like, playing golf quietly, and then we'll wait for Goldfinger to take his putt, and will he sink it? No, not quite. The thing is, that could be a fun scene if it was, like, edited more... economically, but they really let it play.
I mean, I think
they don't need to.
I like the scene because it's like, it's like again like a playful, like friendly type of like wholesome game of golf between men of the 60s or whatever, and it's like. But it's like there is like still like he's like noticing that the ball's switched and he's like, you know,
he's
I just think
his wits again.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the setup. I just think it's so visually bland the way they shoot that scene. It's a lot of like wide shots and wide shots rather like big master shots and fucking long takes, and it's still just people playing golf ultimately. What's happening I think is interesting. I like that idea, and I think it brings a nice it brings some credit to Bond himself. Like, as someone who's like, I'm not always like, James Bond has got it. He's so cool. He's the man. He'll figure it out. I was like, oh, like he's really clever in this. Like that's a fun thing. But like, I just think like it could have just been better, like handled a little bit better as far as just making it visually appealing and keeping it an appropriate length.
Yeah, after that scene, I think the movie is when the movie really takes off. So I think when you had said still, even after that scene, like, I'm kind of digging this, I was like, okay, then the rest of this movie's going to be smooth.
Yeah, and it is.
Sailing,
It really picks up after that. There's a weirdness of just, like, the fact that Goldfinger just, like, lets Bond hang out. Like, Goldfinger could kill Bond for, like, a month in this movie, and he just decides not to. One, because it's a James Bond movie and he needs to make it to the end, and two, because he's a cocky asshole. But what I really liked about him was when he had Bond captured and he had the laser going, and they're like, well, don't you want to know? He's like, I'm not going to fucking, no, I'm going to kill you.
And then
Stop.
the reason he keeps him alive is because Bond convinces him you need to keep him alive and captured so you can use him if you need him. But
As the guy is killing him. Like, the guy's just waiting for the laser to hit it. You know what I mean? Like, he's not, like, sitting there at the button deciding to press. Like, he's already made the decision to kill him. He's turning him back around, which I thought that was a really cool new side of a Bond villain. Like, he didn't just explain his plan for no fucking reason.
At least to Bond, he didn't. He did to all the gangsters he then killed right after.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he
needed to get them in the room.
Yes.
All right. I will say one other gripe that I have with this movie is another one that I had with the Spy Who Loved Me. It was just like there's no score during action scenes a lot of the time, and it's just like kind of like awkward dead silence with like a like it's just kind of, it's a very oddly like, and especially because like there's some scenes like at the end of the Odd Job fight at the end they start putting in a theme, and I'm like, it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like I'm watching a rough cut, like it's unfinished, like there should be music here. Like,
remember when those Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers came out and they forgot to put sound effects in? It was like the opposite of that. It was all sound effects.
The famous Mummy trailer that has no score.
Oh yeah, that's pretty great too. All right. Guys, Goldfinger, I would actually, as a non-Bond fan, I would recommend this one. Clearly, Jack picked it, so he recommends it.
If you ever watch one in your life, like, make it
should
this
be this
one.
Yeah. I would say
it's
so.
an easy one to go into, get the gist of the series, and
I'd say if there's
at
least one pre-Craig one that you should watch, probably this one. I mean, of the other ones that I've seen, like I said, I've not seen many others. I've seen GoldenEye, which I also like. And
I think like GoldenEye's like a modern version of Goldfinger. If like 60s is too early for you, GoldenEye hits all the same notes just as well, has just as dynamic characters, and yeah,
I can fuck with that. All right, guys, so we hit the break point. There's not a ton of housekeeping stuff, just a couple notes. As far as merch goes, we're gonna have to delay the rollout of our ordering process by another week. We're just working on getting an ordering system down pat. Again, we're trying to make these things like as cheap as possible. I think when we tell you how much everything costs, you guys will probably be pretty excited with where we're able to get the price down to. We just want to make sure we have a concrete system so that everything goes smoothly. Everyone on Patreon, we mentioned before that you guys were getting shirts for being founding patrons. Those shirts, if you provided us with your email address and your shirt size on Patreon, they have been shipped out. If you're living in the U.S., outside the U.S., they are coming. They're in production still. They'll be shipping out pretty soon. If you are a founding patron, that means a patron from before like 2 episodes ago. Please be sure to get back to us with your just confirm your mailing address for us and your. We do have outside U.S. patrons, Cody. Yes. Be sure to get back to us with your confirmed address and your t-shirt size. We want to get those out to you. We're so lucky to have you guys. We love you so much. And if you've got them already, I know one of our patrons already has it. Please take a shirt, post it on social media. Like, let us know. We just want to see you. We'll retweet you. We're sure you look gorgeous. And that goes for everyone. Once we actually do roll the merch out, we want to see all of you wearing, repping the RMR. We really appreciate it. We love the love from you guys that we get over on Twitter at RM Roulette. Be sure to follow us there if you want to know when we are going live. If you're not listening to it live right now, like Cody, Jordan, and Mark are, who we fucking love having in the chat. Always good for content if we're running low on talking points. So thank God for you guys. All right. Now, the second half of the show. If you go to rmroulette.com, you'll see we have a new blog, which is fucking great. The editor of whom is in the chat right now. That is Cody. Cody Enos is the editor of rmroulette.com, Random Movie Roulette, the blog. And we will occasionally do posts ourselves. And with Cody, we did a
little response to our last week when we went through IndieWire's top 50 best animated series, and we all had some gripes, and we were like, they missed this, they missed this. We decided that all of us, we would make a top 20 of like the best cartoons that weren't on that list. Yeah. So everybody gave in 5 choices, and then we just on the website. You'll see
Yeah.
our 5 choices, and we talk about why we picked them.
And so we're just going to talk about those now. Just give you
Yeah.
guys a heads up. You can check out the full article for our full thoughts written out there, but these are just our brief summations. So, Jack, why don't you start?
Yeah, so the first one I wrote down was Family Guy, which I had talked about when we talked about the IndieWire list. By no means do I think it is the peak of comedy writing or whatever, but the fact is, it is a pretty funny show when you watch those first few seasons. Lewis and I have watched a few early episodes and had some good laughs a few nights.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and it's really kind of found its place in the cultural zeitgeist one way or another. It just is one of those formative cartoons that has dominated animation these past 20 years.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
yeah.
I think it's so easy to
reach
shit
can't
on
be
now.
ignored, yeah.
I will
But
say that
it's
my
very
14-year-old self
important.
would be wholeheartedly agreeing with you right now. But honestly, I've made a project of like keeping up with new Family Guy and watch. It is
Right.
It is.
Right,
It
but
is
that's not what we're-
soul-crushing.
New Simpsons
That's
is
not what
also
we're
not-
talking
yeah.
about. And yeah, New Simpsons there's probably more bad seasons of Simpsons than there are good seasons at this point, and the same thing
Yeah.
goes for most animated TV shows that last that long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising at this point. It doesn't make those first 3 or 4 seasons like really, really fun and clever and entertaining.
Yeah, but I don't think any of my next 4 ever overstayed their welcome.
No.
One that actually got killed before its welcome, and I hope it
Just
comes
recently.
back. Yeah, Venture Brothers.
I'm hoping HBO Max.
I'm hoping too. This was like the cream of the crop of Adult Swim until Rick and Morty came along and became infinitely more popular. But I
Yeah.
still think it's even a little better than Rick and Morty.
Well, I'll tell you what. If Venture Brothers had Rick and Morty's budget, it might have done a little bit better.
yeah, but well, and also if they hadn't gone whole seasons and such hiatuses and
yeah.
stuff. But the writing's always good. It is like all of these best comedies where there's equal parts drama and intrigue, and at the same time all these great jokes and like subtle jokes and stuff. It's not even like set up, laugh, boom, or cutaway gags or whatever. It's just the characters themselves and their ridiculousness and the situations they get put in. In Venture Brothers, it's equal parts like the tenderness of characters and just the horribleness of characters.
Yeah.
That's just like such an appeal, and how it really mines nerd culture to create this whole world.
This is one that
it
you
exists
introduced
in.
me to.
Yeah, and I knew you would love it.
And I did.
it's- Yeah.
I devoured it as soon as I started it.
May she rest in peace.
And I will say that Venture Brothers, I've not seen the show, but it did feel like the grossest oversight on their part to not have this specifically on the list.
big time.
Following that up is She-Ra, Princess of Power, which just ended its run on Netflix. A very, very good run. I am by no means a Masters of the Universe fan. It came out long before my time. It didn't really have like that revival presence in the early 2000s that like Transformers did, and G.I. Joe to an extent. Like, it just didn't have that lasting power. I remember there was like a brief series, but people just weren't feeling it. This show, you would almost think I was like too old for it, but the writing is so good and the character development is just so amazing, and the diversity of the cast and the creativity that goes into the art and into the whole plot line of the show, I just was so intrigued by it, and it really has that kind of Steven Universe-y Adventure Time quality of drawing in grown people and drawing in kids alike, and just creating this whole great tale for everyone.
Jordan in the chat says, I remember Jack throwing on a He-Man episode once when we dormed together and just laughing at it for a few minutes.
Yeah,
Like
So this is all
original
checking out.
like original He-Man. It's not good. Where it's, you know, you watch them side by side. It's staggering if you think animations come far. There you go. A show that had a absolutely perfect run. We will get to Futurama. Oh,
This is another one where it's like, how did you miss this? Like,
How did you
seriously.
miss it?
Big time.
The one thing that gives me hope about Venture Brothers is that Futurama died and came back from the grave
So many times.
so many times, and
Everything
never
does
lost
now.
step and wrapped up just perfectly. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better finale than it has. The jokes are, again, just as good as they are in The Simpsons or any other Matt Groening stuff. You know,
Is it groaning or graining?
I have no idea.
All right.
I honestly can't say.
Really glad I interrupted you for that.
No, that's fine. But, you know, it's... I mean, yeah, it is, I think... No, I wouldn't say it's superior to Simpsons, but it's a different animal, and it just really hits you every time. For every great shiny metal ass joke, there's a see more asses. There's, it's the one comedy that can make you consistently cry.
Okay, sorry.
What, did someone comment something funny? Or
Nope,
did
just
something
see more asses did it to
See
me.
more asses.
Yeah.
A good dog. Yeah, I mean, every character gets their moment to shine. Every character has a backstory that's sad or that makes you at least empathize with them. So, it's... If you haven't watched Futurama by now, I don't know why you haven't or what you're doing.
Yeah,
but
there's
it's
something wrong with
available
you.
out there.
I
Go
mean,
watch
like,
it.
I'm not even like that. I'm not like a super fan of the show or anything, but like, it's so like objectively good that for it to be excluded on any list is fucking insane.
It really has that great story arc. And then also going with a really great story arc, I'll just wrap it up and keep it with the space fantasy sci-fi theme. Star Wars Rebels. Dave Filoni has done a great job with Star Wars TV. The Mandalorian is obviously a testament to that and all its fans and whatever. And I think everyone would look at me. Yeah. And everyone would look at me and say, "You didn't do Clone Wars? Are you crazy?" But I think the thing that always kept me kind of about Clone Wars was you're following characters from the prequel trilogy who you know how they end up. Like, unless you only have Ahsoka Tano to really latch onto, and she's in Rebels, and so is Captain Rex. So any character that wasn't in the prequel trilogy does show up in Rebels and gets, their final dues and whatever.
Yeah. I've seen a few episodes of Clone Wars and I've seen a few episodes of Rebels, and the Rebels ones just had so much more personality.
And because they have, I think also that's probably Disney budget, they afforded better voice actors and a broader variety, be it
yeah, and I like the
Prinze
stylized
Jr., Lars
animation
Mikkelsen.
look.
Yeah.
I like that it's not like just like one that we're not looking at just cartoon versions of actors that we know very well the whole time. Like seeing Hayden Christensen and fucking the guy who played Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, just like and as like a cartoon is so weird. And the puppet who played Yoda. It's it's exhausting.
And it's also a really concise 4-season run. Clone Wars always had that thing where it's like it's going forever and you want more, and there's open plot lines to the point that they only just wrapped it up this last year.
And that's been going on since I was like 12.
Yeah. I mean, since I was in 6th grade, since 2008. So
I mean, we say that in Venture Bros never got a finale, and that started when I was about 12 too.
I mean, very true.
Is the Clone Wars like the 2D and then the CG show? Are they the same run or is
no?
it just
So
like
Genny Tartakovsky, Genny Tartakovsky, who did most recently
Dexter.
Primal, Dexter's Lab. He's also done, he's going to do a Popeye movie, and that never happened. He does Hotel Transylvania. He's wonderful, and I love Hotel Transylvania. Don't let anyone tell you that's bad. He did, like, a short series of animated cartoons, and it's awesome. It's, I think, way better than the 3D reboot you kind of get once that shitty animated movie comes out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that the 2D show, I thought it was like part of like the same storyline, and then they
I
just
mean,
switched
it's
animation
the same
styles halfway through.
Lore, but it was
it's Star Wars.
Yeah, but it was years and years and years before, and
All right, well, okay.
Yeah, it is a separate animal.
I think it is part of the stuff that got carried over into the canon after the Disney buyout.
Yeah.
Yes, so that is Star Wars. Mike, why don't we go over your picks?
So mine, I don't know if any of these would be like considered like all-timer status, but these are just like
I disagree. I think this first one definitely is.
There are. Okay, so my first pick obviously is Hey Arnold, because
if you're a patron, you know all about our love for Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
You heard it last week. Patreon.com/Arnold.
Yeah, and that was just one episode. Like, I think that like the show as a whole, while it's like, it's always just like it creates like this like very like melancholic vibe, and the score is always like really jazzy, and it gets you like in the mindset and the mood of just like kind of like a down and out kid, just like, living in the city, and then like just kind of a very slice of life show. He hangs out with his friends, he goes to school, occasionally gets
and he has like a good range of freedom in the city that typically
it's like kind of like it's weird. It's like kind of like a childhood. It's like a childish wish fulfillment where it's like I can go out and hang out with my friends.
He's like a little
but it's like
adult.
a mundane life. Like it's a mundane city.
He's not
life.
blown away by it.
No,
and like
except for the house, that living in that room with the with the you know
cool.
the bed and the couch that flips over and all those studio lights like that. Arnold's room is like that's but no, it's it's a very like not only just like wholesome but like mature in storytelling, and it's like it's never like afraid to like shy away from like dark subject matter, and it's always like just it's always fun to return to. And all right, so we gotta get moving on. I'm sorry. All right, next up we got Ed, Edd and Eddy. Now this is probably like my favorite classic era Cartoon Network show, and it's one that I didn't really watch when I was a kid, because when I was a kid I was like, I thought it looked like gross and like obnoxious and mean, and now that's why I like it now. It's because it's like the antithesis of Hey Arnold, where it's like this is like a slice of life show for fucking horrible asshole kids who are just like mean and maniacal, and they just cause each other misery, and it's hilarious. And then the next show is another show that's like vile and horrible, is Moral Orel, which this show it's an Adult Swim show. It's like a parody of like super religious claymation shows, where like they take the morals to like such a ridiculous degree that is like unbelievable.
Is that an actual like thing? Like
like Davy and Goliath, I think, is like something that they're kind of parodying like that kind of like Christian public access claymation.
I was gonna say
television.
VeggieTales is at least a little better,
right? Animation was, but I mean, so this is Dino Stamatopoulos, who's a fucking genius.
The show is demented and dark. It's like there's like the morals that they get into. Like you can always kind of see like, all right, how is Oral gonna like misinterpret this one? But it's like
fucking it goes so off the rails to the point where like he's getting dick piercings and he's having sex
because he thinks that that's what the Lord wants.
Yeah,
like,
he's an 11-year-old kid.
Lewis and I watched an episode where he sells his own pee, believing that
God
he
sells his pee as a sports drink to
his school.
to his school's fucking basketball team because
he doesn't want to
waste. Believe in waste.
Yeah,
God hates waste.
Yeah, God hates wasteful people. So my pee shouldn't go to waste either.
The fourth show. This is another. This is my favorite new era Cartoon Network show, is Amazing World of Gumball. Sure, is like it's probably not as like in-depth story or themes as much as like Adventure Time or Steven Universe, but like as far as just like pure entertainment and comedy and like I think visual style, it's like honestly like there's nothing else really like it. Like a mix like CG and 3D and puppets and stop motion. Like they really like utilize a lot of like different animation techniques.
There is a great Golden Girls parody episode, which is probably my sole reason for loving this show so much, but I remember even just watching it when I just moved on to our college campus as a freshman, and it was just on, and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, Mark points out that Moral Orel, that episode we talked about with the P, is very similar to a South Park episode where Butters gives his team his cum to drink, which also fantastic. Great television. Anytime you can make kids drink gross stuff, that's hilarious. All right.
And
what's
the
up
last
next?
one's just Tom and Jerry. Like
you were so upset about us. Fucking, it's Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, because I was just like, I feel like I could have picked like something a little more modern or something that like has like a continuity or an anime, and I couldn't come up with anything. And I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I don't like. I'll put like one like very like classic cartoon on here, Tom and Jerry. I didn't know if it like qualified because it's like it wasn't like a series.
I think it qualifies.
It was just like, it's just like kind of like a bunch of like individual shorts that got packaged onto.
It's still a cartoon.
Yeah. But no, it's sometimes you just need to like go back to the basics of watching like a cat get hit on the head with a bowling ball, and that's funny.
This was always a cartoon I actively avoided.
Really?
I always hated it when I was a kid. Don't know how I'd feel about it now.
I think that it's like kind of just like
As
perfect
if it's
slapstick.
like all slapstick.
Yeah, it just didn't do it for me. Nothing deep, no deep criticisms of it. It's a very lovely cartoon. The animation's really cool.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, especially for like that era and being Hanna-Barbera, the animation like surprisingly holds up. Like it's like very fluid. But yeah, I didn't really have an impassioned like plea for Tom and Jerry. I was gonna pick the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2003 series, but then I was like,
slaps.
No, yeah, it is good,
great.
but it's just like I haven't watched that since I was a kid, so I was like, I don't know if it holds up.
True.
All right, so my picks. So the first one on my list, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law. It's so fucking funny.
So good.
If you like Hanna-Barbera cartoons even a little bit, like you're gonna find the
or
show
even if you
hysterical.
love to hate them, like
Yeah.
like I do, like with the Flintstones, or like the Flintstones is like the dumbest show ever, but it's like, you know, it takes the piss out of.
Fuck off.
No, I'm just as a joke, like as a meme. Like
I will fight.
I fucking I adore it. It's so funny. It's like weird early adult swim humor, which I always appreciate. Like it has like a completely like nonsensical theme song that like when you look at the lyrics, like it makes absolutely no sense, and it's literally just like the creator of the show like didn't have a way to pitch the show, so he left a recording of this theme song on Mike Laszlo's desk and was like and then the next day Mike Laszlo was like, I don't know what the show is, but make the show. They had the character Birdman, and because from Hanna-Barbera they had a whole staple of cartoons. They're like, we can do something with this character, and so they had a bunch of people come in and pitch things, and they're like, everything is terrible, and then this guy just drops off that stupid theme song, and they're like, yeah, make that. Let's see what that is. And I think the result is pretty fun. Digimon Adventure is my next one.
all right, I'm gonna go take a
Yep,
break.
please do. No, you'll listen. I really like this show. It's really, really good. So Digimon Adventure, I did put the original series. It has so many problems. It is kind of a fucking mess. Like there's like weird bad dub stuff all over the place. I do like the Japanese voice cast. I think it's pretty cool. The reboot is really, really good. It is what I want a Pokemon show to be, or always wanted it to be. Instead we got like a stupid like just like annoying like Kid versus Team Rocket show where like that took up so much of the runtime that it's just not fun anymore. But like this like had like an ongoing plot, and there was like there were clear goals, and there was character development and interesting characters and personalities coming together. They weren't all the same fucking shonen anime character. It was a really, really good time. I highly recommend checking it out. If you haven't already seen it, just watch the reboot. It's really, really good. It's all on Hulu. Teen Titans is next. This was where my fascination with superheroes like really kicked off. You know, I'd read comics before, but like this was when I got like really into it because I was so obsessed with the show. I watched it. Probably the first show I watched like week to week. That was like appointment viewing for me. I
that was
loved
the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 03 for me.
Yeah.
Now I regret not putting that on there. But
Well, it's a great show. We'll attest to that. I think the fact that Ron Perlman has never played Deathstroke in live action still miffs me off because his voice is terrifying.
If they ever do like a Dark Knight Returns inspired thing, like him as like an old Slade Wilson would be so good.
And Slade Wilson is old. They just need to put an eye.
No, but like a really like in retirement home. Slade Wilson.
yeah, and the fact that they put Teen Titans Go on their list instead of this one.
Yeah,
is like,
in
just
defense,
disgusting.
much like I think Teen Titans Go is very much in the world of Gumball realm where the jokes actually do work a lot, at least for me.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know, OG Teen Titans is just so good.
Up next, I'm not going to talk about this one too much because I talked about it a lot already. Courage the Cowardly Dog. If you're on Patreon, you heard it in our first Patreon TV show episode. I think this show is just so cool, unlike anything I really had as a child. Scary cartoons is such a rich area that I don't think is explored enough. I always
I'm
have a
surprised
great
that wasn't
time
like
with
your
it.
number one pick. Like,
I mean, these aren't ranked. These aren't.
No, I
in
know,
any
but like
specific.
we had to remind you about Courage. When
I
you sent it to the
for
list.
some reason thought it was already on the list. And Invader Zim is my last one. And Invader Zim I've talked about a bit when that movie came out, Enter the Florpus, which was fantastic. Invader Zim, I think, really shaped my humor and a little bit of my horrible pessimism.
Did you have
to
like
be
a
quite honest.
Gerbini or something when you were in
No,
high school?
nothing like that. I really like it though. It is really funny. It's gross and repulsive, but in a way that feels like some sort of commentary. Like I feel like Ren and Stimpy is just gross because it's gross, but Invader Zim is like very much a like our society's dumb and like here are the ways in which it is, and they show that as like an ongoing theme, I think, throughout the whole program. I think they still hold up. If you go back and watch them, I still fucking laugh at the stupid jokes. It's a good time. And the comics are good too. The Invader Zim comics that they did a few years ago, not a bad time either.
You showed me like the first couple episodes recently, and I
Yeah.
never watched the show when I was a kid, and I was surprised at how much I was laughing and how much I thought that like it looks great and like, you know, the characters are fun And I was surprised by that because a lot of times I try to go back to a lot of shows I didn't watch as a kid, and then I'm like, they don't really like work.
They don't
on
hold
me.
up. Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah. And Cody's picks, he had some picks.
Yeah,
of his
let's
own.
go
read
over
them off
Cody's real
quickly
quick.
just
Yeah.
to acknowledge.
we can't speak for Cody. Cody, if you want to leave something in the chat and explain to people about these movies real quick. So Cody's picks are Ben 10, which is I also love. Jackie Chan Adventures, so good.
So great.
Spectacular Spider-Man, also
Incredible.
so good. Hunter x Hunter. I've been meaning to watch this for a very long
Is it an
time
anime?
now. It is an
Yeah,
anime.
I appreciate that. At least you got us an anime on here,
Yeah.
so thank you
yeah,
for that.
I have Digimon Adventure.
Okay. Well,
Can
I mean,
you really
you
count
piece
that?
of
Though?
shit.
That's more marketing than anime.
I'm going to come over there and strangle you live on camera.
Sorry, I insulted your merchandising fetish.
The
Mr.
Adventures.
I buy 5 gum to get codes on Avengers.
I didn't
games.
buy the 5 gum to get the codes for the Avengers game. Sarah bought 5 gum. I have the Avengers game. It had the codes. I'm not gonna not
Yet,
use
why
them.
is there like 6 things
yeah.
of 5 gum always around?
She
that's
buys
what I'm
in
saying.
bulk.
In Lewis's defense, I've seen him. He's stocked up on 5 gum packs long before that Avengers
Yes.
game came out. So that's his thing.
Okay.
It would be like if there was like.
Thank you.
It would be like if there was like a SpongeBob game
Anyways.
that had like on Chips Ahoy boxes. It's like I buy those anyway.
Yeah,
So it's
I'm not gonna not use the codes once I have them.
And
It's
Cody's
wasteful.
final pick is...
The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron. Sorry.
Hey, Jimbo.
Yeah, which also I think a show that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is like I enjoy the show, but like
Ironically.
I can't. I don't know if I can say that it is a good show. I like it, but it
Yeah.
is like I feel like I'm like this is kind of trash.
Well,
but
Fairly
I
Odd
enjoy-
Parents almost made it onto
Yeah,
my list.
I think Fairly
so-
Odd Parents is kind of like it's. I think they're comparable shows.
I mean,
Fairly
they
Odd
had
Parents-
the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour
yeah.
or whatever it
Fairly
was.
Odd Parents, the earlier seasons have like genuinely very.
There's
funny
really great.
moments, yeah.
There's one of my favorite jokes is in the pilot is like Timmy's parents go out to a movie and Vicky's finally babysitting him and he's like, "Dear oh magic 8-ball, when'll mom and dad be back?" And it's like he shakes it and it's like, "Never. They're watching Titanic, the director's cut."
My favorite joke in that show is anytime that his dad or Crocker say anything.
Yeah, those are the two like best characters, hands down.
Although I will say none of them can hold a candle to Jimmy Neutron's
Yes,
dad, though.
guys. Real quick before we do plugs, we have one more thing we have to talk about, and that is some very urgent news. Jamie Foxx of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 fame is reprising his role as Electro in the Spider-Man Far From Home sequel.
His Razzie Award nominated role.
I
I
You
don't know
have
if he was
no
nominated
idea
for a
what happened
Razzie.
to me today. Like when I read that, like my world came tumbling down. Everything I thought was real, just like
So
why? How?
not
For
only
what
why,
reason?
but of all the characters to carry over from that movie, Pauly G was right there. He was right there.
I
for you to
know!
protect the Rhino. These fuckers took away my role as the Rhino from Spider-Man.
If we get Jamie Foxx back and we do not get Paul Giamatti back, I oh my god, anthrax to everyone at Sony Pictures. What the fucking fuck? That is not how I feel at all. I am not that crazy of a fanboy. I would never harm anyone, making that abundantly clear. But what the fuck?
Please do.
We have Paul Giamatti. We have him. What's he doing? Just you don't even need him like in the studio.
Billions.
Have him just say things at home in front of a green screen and put his dumb head into a fucking rhino suit. What the fucking? Come on!
Okay,
It's the best part of the movie.
I have to even ask, not even just the motivation of like why him instead of Paul Giamatti, but why him at all?
Why? Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
are you doing this?
Who is like, oh, that great turn he had as Electro.
Electro.
Who wanted this?
That great turn he had as a Blu-ray case.
That I wanted to try to buy that for
I
you.
want it now.
But,
yeah, I
but
really
like
do
I looked
want it
online
now.
and it's like either out of stock or it costs like
Or a
$180.
bajillion dollars as the world's worst collector item.
All right. Well, we had to bring that up. But guys, let's talk about what we're going to be watching next week. We are in Spooktober. You're not getting away with any shit. All right? This is still Random Movie Roulette.
Yeah.
We're still in the Monster Kid podcast community, and we are still doing horror in October in a big bad way.
And yeah, so now we are going to be looking at the list that we have curated here for you.
Yes.
So the list of horror spoopy movies are going to be, number one is a movie called The Woman from 2011. I don't know what this is, but like
I think Arrow has a release of this movie.
yeah,
Then it must be good.
Number 2 is
No, it must be.
is Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, which I don't think. Yeah, me and Jack have never seen.
I've seen it.
Oh, you did. I thought
Oh,
you said
yeah.
I thought you put it on the list because you never saw it before.
No,
but
I
hey,
watched it
it's
recently.
been a while since I saw it.
Not crazy about
Not
it.
great. Oh, I'm surprised. I would have thought you would have liked the
I liked
Sam
it
Raimi horror.
more the first time I watched it. This recent watch wasn't for me.
All right, number 3 is a movie called The Ambulance from 1990. It stars Eric Roberts, I think. I don't know. This was just a weird.
I don't even
outlier
remember
one.
This is-
when this came up, but great.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
a Larry Cohen movie.
Number 4 is Lewis's favorite on here is Monkey Shines.
Yeah, I read the description and I'm so
really-
excited.
I hope that this is it.
Me too. It's fucking wild.
All right, number 5 is Red Dragon, which I feel like
I think we
It's
could have a good time with
I
it.
feel like it's a Silence of the Lambs adjacent enough that like I feel like it would be like a good enough.
It's
pick.
actually pretty well directed.
And then number 6 is Dead Alive, which is a movie that I think we did in
we
like
did in our old format.
in like the very truncated.
Actually, Jack got it. I think I gave him
in
a
the
got
host
it.
pick.
in
Yeah,
the in the early before times,
the
but
before
like
force.
but yeah, so we're gonna give that one a try again because I haven't seen it in years, and that's
Yeah.
that's a Halloween staple. Me and
That was a
Lewis
big bonding moment that we had. Was
Yep.
going to see that together.
on Halloween day, and so
Good time.
So number 1, The Woman. 2, Drag Me to Hell. 3, The Ambulance. 4, Monkey Shines. 5, Red Dragon. 6, Dead Alive. And the winner is... It's one.
The Woman.
Woman.
The Woman. All right.
All right.
Well,
I guess.
Next week we're watching The Woman. Sorry. Who knows? Maybe it's very
It could
good.
be great.
We will see. But until then, guys, make sure you are keeping up to date on what's going on with us by following us on Twitter at RMRoulette. Go to patreon.com/RMRoulette and you can join us after this live stream. We're going to have another fucking live stream exclusively for our patrons where we're going to be talking about the second episode of Archer. We do host pick TV show episodes every week on Patreon exclusively for patrons. So join at the $5 tier for that perk. Also, if you are on Patreon and you have not joined our Discord, guys, get on the Discord. We're having such a good time on Discord. We're finally getting it active again. The band's coming back together, boys. The Boys in the Band is a movie that we're probably not going to cover on this show.
Probably not.
I don't like Ryan Murphy, and it's just not going to go. It's not going to end well. It's going to end very poorly. All right, guys, what do you have to plug?
I am Jack on 35mm on Instagram, Jack Patterson on Letterboxd.
I am RMR Cyborg Mike on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. We write for thecyborgs.com and now for rmroulette.com occasionally sometimes. If anyone wants to play Among Us or Rocket League, hit me up. I want to.
Yeah.
I want us all to get a game starting together, like a podcast group to play these
Yeah.
games on a regular basis.
And seriously, watch the show live on twitch.tv/RMRoulette. Thursdays around 9 o'clock is the typical time that we go on. And also occasionally me and Mike will hop on here and we'll play some video games. And we're happy to invite the people in our chat into the game. So, stop by, play some games with us, fuck around. It's a good time. We always have fun. Yep, you can follow me on Twitter at LewisJOtero, on Instagram at RMRouletteLewis. I already did all our show plugs, so that's about that. Guys, patrons, if you are going to be sticking around for the Patreon TV show, we're probably going to go live in about 15 minutes from when this ends. Hang out, get a drink. You'll get another notification from Twitch probably when we go live again. And come join us. Thank you guys so much for listening. To the folks watching live, always appreciate it. We love having you. We had a great time hanging out with you guys. If you're not doing it yet, come fucking stop by. We're having fun fucking time without you. Come on, get it together. We have great, exciting stuff coming up in the next couple months. You guys are gonna be seeing some big changes. One, to the look of this show. We have a lot of cool stuff in the works for that. And two, some content. We're doing a big 100th episode that we're not quite ready to give full details on yet, but it's shaping up to be really fucking cool. Yeah, and it will be live, and it will be very, very, very special. And also, if you tune into that, maybe you can also win some things.
Yeah.
We'll again address that later. All right, patrons, we'll see you in a little bit. Everyone else, we'll see you next week. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, all that wonderful stuff, and We can't wait to spend more time with you.